Bonjour et bienvenue au Festival international du film de Paris. Hello and welcome to the Paris International Film Festival. Today, for this second roundtable with festival directors and programmers, we are so delighted and honored to welcome the programmer and co-director of the Female Filmmakers Berlin Film Festival, Nici Brueckner. Bonjour, Nici.
Hello.
Director of the Awareness Film Festival, Skye Kelly. Bonjour, Skye.
Bonjour.
And last but not least, in no particular order, Paul Sloop, Short Films Programming Manager at the Cleveland International Film Festival. Bonjour, Paul.
Hello, thank you.
The whole irony of this, I'm so delighted to see you again virtually, though admittedly, this is all to talk about the beautiful moments we love to share from 2023 onwards. I would love for each of you to please talk to us about the specificities of your festival. And as a programmer, what is your main goal, depending on either niche or just your style, I guess, as programming the features, shorts, or both at your festival? Maybe starting with Nici.
Hello, and thank you, Jenna. So yes, I'm the co-director and programmer of the Female Filmmakers Festival Berlin. We've been operating for 5 years. This year will be our 5th edition. What is our focus? Our focus is females, women in all different areas of the film industry, but mainly, so we also support men, but mainly we go for females that are in the head productions as producers, directors, filmmakers in general. We don't have a specific genre. We like to actually spread out and look for different sci-fi genres that females are not really known for, and therefore we're open to all genres. And yeah. Sorry, what was the other question? Did I cover it all?
I think this is a perfect introduction, and all genres welcome is definitely something we can relate to. So, Skye, do you want to talk to us about what you're doing at Awareness Film Festival?
Sure. So we're in Los Angeles, and our tagline is films that do more than entertain. So all films have to raise awareness to something that really anything, but especially around health, mental health, human rights, animal rights, LGBTQ. We really want to have people's stories that may not be heard at other festivals be featured at our fest. And it does take place in downtown Los Angeles. This will be the 14th year, coming up in October for 2023.
Excellent. And Paul, can you tell us about what's happening in Cleveland?
Sure. This is my 20th year as the short films programmer at Cleveland. I'm also the director of programming at 2 other organizations in the country, but this has been my main gig for a long time. All of my festivals play shorts, but Cleveland is one of those festivals that's Oscar qualifying in all 3 categories for short, animation, documentary, and live action. And so we program everything. We literally have specialty after-hours programs. We have family programs. This year we'll end up playing over 30 programs of short films at a festival that runs for 12 days and then goes virtual for a week after the in-person festival ends. So we play a ton of films, typically over 150 shorts and close to 200 features at our festival.
And I want to salute Maria Brandel, the director of I Like At You, which will be the closing film and was nominated at the Academy Awards last year. All those festivals really screen in incredible venues in Berlin and America across the country. Can you maybe walk us through your venues and cinemas and why this venue and why makes it so special to your filmmakers and audience? Nici?
Our festival has been run, we kind of change a little bit every year, but our main destination is Movimental, which is considered one of the oldest, possibly the oldest cinema in Berlin/Germany. And we really like it there because it is made for filmmakers still entering the industry. We have about in the cinema itself, there's about 4 or 5 different screening rooms, but we mainly work with the biggest room. And then we have a big area at the back, which is the bar area and the networking area. And yeah, it's a beautiful old cinema.
It's all about history, isn't it? What about you, Skye, the beautiful cinema where you screen films at awareness?
Yes, we've been really lucky to be utilizing the Regal Cinemas at LA Live, which has 14 theaters. We utilized 2 of those theaters during our 11 days. And yeah, they're beautiful. Everyone's always really excited about the presentation, the 4K possibilities and the surround sound, which makes us really happy. But what we love as well is we have the mezzanine area of this theater. So there we have our red carpet, step and repeat. And then we have a lot of nonprofit organizations set up. So we align nonprofits with the films. And so people can interact with those nonprofits. And we usually have a little VR set up. And we've been having like our filmmakers brunch and things there. And then we sometimes do have parties and things just in the greater LA Live area. So it's a nice kind of inclusive little, well, not little, but village feeling in the center of downtown, which is quite accessible, which was important to us, not just by car, because Los Angeles is such a car-driven place, but also by public transport.
Maybe you want to talk about many venues, Paul, considering you work at many festivals across the United States, but do you want to give us a summary of
Yeah, no, I'll stay focused on Cleveland since it's the big Oscar qualifier and not take up too much time. I will say I've been to Regal LA Live many times. It's a beautiful facility, great location for being in LA. I actually stay with a family. I have family near the airport, and I'm able to get there despite that needing to drive in and out every day when I'm coming to a festival there. Cleveland was at Tower City Center for years and years, but last year was our first year at our new forever home. We've graduated to the biggest possible venue in our city, which is Playhouse Square. Playhouse Square is the 3rd largest theater district in the world, only behind Broadway in New York and London's theater scene. It is huge. We get access for that period to basically all the venues there, which means we have tons of seating and really big houses. And we own all our own DCP equipment because we had to put it into Tower City. So we bring it in and outfit the entire Playhouse Square with DCP capability, surround sound, etc. And it's a great venue for us, which centralizes everything right in the beautiful heart of downtown Cleveland, which people are always surprised because Cleveland isn't known for that. But during my 20 years of being here, the renaissance that's taken place in Cleveland, especially built around the arts, has been amazing. And the film festival is one of the main cogs of that renaissance.
Beautiful. We are wondering what are your biggest achievements to come in 2023. Obviously, something filmmakers are usually so excited about is also the social aspect and getting more projects on the ground, maybe meeting with distributors. The palette is so large. Are there any new or old events to be excited about in your programming? Can we hear about that? Nici, what's happening in Berlin?
Well, we're at the beginning of our film festival for 2023 time scale. So our festival doesn't run until October. So we tend to operate our film festival depending on what we actually program for the festival. So we kind of place it around that and invite people to come to that. But we also collaborate with Germany, and we do networking sessions. We do panel discussions all on the topic of women in film, young, upcoming, older women, just all across the board. But yeah, so our program doesn't stand yet for 2023, but I'm sure there's many amazing things to come.
Beautiful. And Skye, do you want to take it away?
Sure. It sounds like, pardon me, I just was at Sundance and I got a little frog in my throat, not to be inappropriate with our French friends. But yes, we are also taking place in October. So we're the beginning of our planning stages, and we also curate around like the films that we select for like special events, so to speak. But I am excited to hopefully have some more. We have always an opening and closing parties awards, a filmmakers brunch, which is always a highlight for everyone, and a filmmaker party. But we're hoping we can do like bring our happy hours back to help filmmakers connect. One of my favorite things about festivals are the festival babies, right? So where filmmakers meet at the fest and collaborate, and then a year or two later, like premiere at the fest. So we're hoping there might be some of those this year. I've heard there's some in the works. So that would be really exciting. And then always like the panels that help people like with their fundraising, distribution, social media engagement. We do panels. Usually we have about 8 or 9 over the course of the festival. So that'll be exciting. And Jenna has taken part in those before. So yeah, we're excited for this upcoming year for sure.
The panels are definitely very educational and valuable. And last but not least, Paul.
Well, our festival, like literally we're making our short film selections 2 days from now. So I'm knee deep in watching films. This is a little timeout of doing that, catching all the last second ones. Our festival runs March 20th through the beginning of April, and then a week of virtual. This year there is one new program. We are starting a spotlight program on shorts. Obviously, we always play a lot of shorts, but we're literally doing a program that is to focus on someone whose legacy of work. We have a filmmaker who won an Oscar last year, had 2 Oscar nominees in a row. We've played like 7 or 8 of his films. We're bringing his team, Breakwater Studios. They do underrepresented stories, doc stories. He had the Queen of Basketball that won the Oscar last year. We're going to play Queen of Basketball and A Concerto as a Conversation. Those were Oscar nominees last 2 years, along with some of his other work and his newest short film this year. And his team is going to talk to filmmakers at the festival about, turning short film somehow into something you can make a living at, because they literally built a studio around it. Now, to his credit, 90% of his short films end up being New York Times op docs. They know he's a go-to guy. His team is going to put together great docs for underrepresented people from history, and they're fantastic. So it's a program that we're starting with him, but was already put in as we're going to do this every year. We're going to find some filmmaker, because we have so many that have had multiple short films with us. Many times they go on and have had a feature with us as well, but we're going to spotlight the filmmaker and highlight the shorts that have been here and what they're doing and how shorts affect the lifelong career of a filmmaker.
And talking about the lifelong career of a filmmaker, as this is a roundtable of experts of film festivals, I really want to ask you all if you can walk us through the circuit for a filmmaker who is actually trying to build a career. Doesn't matter at which stage, really, can be really experienced or really a debut film. Do you advise starting with a short? Do you advise how does the awards process work? Paul, obviously, the Academy Awards are really important. So can you walk us through some stories or some examples of how you see a filmmaker building a career through films? Maybe we can start with you, Nici. I was honored to serve on your jury last year. So do you have any great stories about awards or filmmakers you see again at the fair?
We do have filmmakers that do come back. As I said, we're only in our 5th year. And as everyone knows, to create a film, it's quite a long process. So we haven't had that many alumni that come back to us, but we do know of people that have started off with short films, and I think short films are just really I'm almost going to say it's like your business card basically into the world, to either stay with short films or to create then feature films. But that's one thing that people really look forward to is to see what films you've made previously, and you are being judged on the quality of your short films that you put out. When it comes to awards or entering a lab, or that's the other thing we also do. We have a female lab, so we create a pitch for about 8 women and choose 4. It's quite small, but that way it's a very hands-on lab that we run for about 3 to 4 months after the festival. But yeah, generally, I really believe in creating short films, as many as you can do, and then entering your feature film stage, because it all helps. And festivals is definitely the place to yeah, network to the max and meet as many people and just talk. Yeah.
Skye, I understand your festival also screens a lot of impact films. Would you say, are there any specificities to more impact films, or would you say it's similar?
Oh, it's definitely very similar. I think it's important to meet with possibly like some NGOs or nonprofit organizations that couldn't get behind your project. They will introduce you to possible subjects for your film, or really kind of help you determine the direction if you're going in a narrative film and you may know all the ins and outs of whatever your issue might be. So I think it's important to collaborate early with organizations, because they'll also really come out and support. Like our biggest, like our sellouts are always being supported by organizations around these causes, and they get behind it and they rally and they're so excited, and it's a lot of energy around the project. And for sure, we do invite, you know, distributors to come to the festival, and our grand jury winner and audience award winner gets a package from an independent distribution company, like that they can choose to take part in or not. So I think, and we do kind of try to work with short filmmakers as well to help them get the ball rolling with that, because I agree with everything Nici said. So yeah, I think finding collaborators, and then crowdfunding is not just a way to try and raise funds to create or finish your project, but also to find people that are invested in what you're doing. So I would recommend that.
Wonderful. And Paul, do you want to talk specifically about the Academy Awards for our filmmakers for dreaming of maybe being nominated? So
Yeah, I'm probably not going to say what most people would think. I stress to the short filmmakers all the time, do not focus on the Academy Awards. It is like a lottery. There are just as many films. There are 10 times the number of films that are Oscar nominated this year that are as good. And sometimes, you know, many of us would think better, because it's a subjective process. And it's, I don't want to say political. Political is not the right word, but you know, who gets behind you and how much media you get and all those things that may or may not be in your control play into ending up one of those 5 nominees. So we're always proud, and I'm always happy for those filmmakers, but I know so many filmmakers that had just as good a work this year, and I would, you know, they shouldn't feel discouraged at all, because their work speaks for itself, whether it's up there or not. I do think Nici nailed it. It's a business. Short films are business cards for you. Yeah, Ben Proudfoot at his Breakwater Studios has figured out a way to make them financially feasible. But for most filmmakers, that's not going to be the case. It's going to take making feature films to have a career in making films. So you want to graduate to that as quickly as you can. Usually the reason you're making short films is A, you're learning your craft in the process of doing it without having a budget so big that it could end your career from the money that you weren't able to recoup. And it also gives you the opportunity then to show the skill sets that you have. But more importantly, to what both of them have said as well, I can't stress how important it is, once you get it out there and that you get this in the budget early, that you follow your film to the festivals it gets in. Because if I told you how many of our filmmakers come back with their feature film they made with 2 or 3 other filmmakers that they met at our festival, at the after, you know, the most important thing, go to the after hours things. We give drinks away. If you can be like me, you don't need to drink. I don't drink, but I hang out there all night to connect my filmmakers and get them meeting each other, because that's where careers are built, at those networking opportunities that exist at festivals. There's no better place to meet, you know, other filmmakers is at festivals, where they're there representing their work as well. So make those shorts, you know, follow them along to the festivals, meet other filmmakers, network, and work on finding the right feature project and support, as both of these programmers have indicated as well.
absolutely, I agree. About the more educational aspect of festivals, this is obviously no wonder why our Cinéma Le Champeau is based Rue des Écoles by Notre Dame Cathedral. Do you want to also talk about maybe your more younger audience, or indeed filmmakers who have made a short as a business card or their first feature? What are the more educational, like, can we go to a festival, attend a festival to learn? Maybe starting with Nici.
Definitely festivals there to learn. Like, I think one of our biggest learning times is always the Q&A after we have done a screening, because when the filmmakers come up, we have it's such a like 20 minutes and people are interacting and learning and asking questions. And I think that's a really good place for people to learn. But then especially afterwards, we also do this speed networking, which is where we put producers with directors and young filmmakers looking for, let's say, producers. And that works really, really well. And then afterwards, you know, with a glass of wine at the bar, meeting people is really the best place when everyone's a little bit relaxed. And it's amazing. And like the other thing that I think is really important afterwards is to do the follow-up. Like, we go to festivals and we have a pocket full of, let's say, business cards from people, but you really need to do the follow-ups and just keep going and just because, you know, I'm also a producer and I know how busy it gets. And if you send one email, just keep sending a couple, 3, 4, and just keep at it. But yeah, definitely educational, and you couldn't do that on online sessions.
Skye, what about awareness? Because I understand your festival went hybrid. So is there an aspect of educational in virtual, or how do you balance in-person and virtual when it comes to panels or learning?
That's a great question. Well, in 2021, we attempted hybrid at the same time as our in-person, and that was very ambitious. We did actually successfully have a couple of really cool panels where we had people at the theater and people around the world. But you know, internet is not always stable, and there's just a lot of moving parts within trying to run an online festival and our in-person. So for 2022, we endeavored to have our main in-person festival, and we had films available after they screened in person online on a platform. But then we waited until the following weekend to hold our virtual panels and interact. So that meant that people that had attended the festival, people in LA, people around the world were able to interact with one another. And I do think it's very valuable. I love that now it definitely does bring to the table folks who may not be able to afford, or time-wise or family situational wise, be able to attend in person. So I'm really glad that we have that. But I do agree with Nici that the in-person is hard to completely recreate those connections. And so I also do encourage people when they can to definitely attend the festival, because yeah, it's that in-person spark and connection, and then the follow-up is so key as well, even no matter how you meet or interact online or in person.
This is great to learn. And Paul, I really want to ask you, you mentioned how much filmmakers gain from attending the festival. Do all attend, or how does it work for them to fly to Cleveland and interact?
No, they don't all attend, but we do have a high percentage of attendees because of the reputation of the festival. But the reputation of the festival is we're an audience festival. One of the major notes that I would to give to filmmakers is know what festival it is that you're playing and what's happening there. For example, from an educational aspect, Palm Springs Short Fest is one of the premier festivals to attend if your film gets in there, because they run so many panels and have so many experts. They're 2 hours away from LA and Hollywood. So they are able to get a lot of people there that are making features, that are big time in the industry, have a great careers, and they come there to do panels and sessions, roundtables. They just have, it's a great educational event. At our festival, it really is about networking. I will say that I think one of the most valuable educational tools is to go to the programs and watch everybody else's films, because you'll learn a lot by watching films and seeing things that you love and how did they do that? And when the filmmakers are there, you have the source. It's right there. How did you do that? We've had that happen in Q&As where one filmmaker points at I love that scene. How did you do that to another filmmaker that's right there? You know, so some of the Q&As are the filmmakers talking to each other, which the audience loves as well. So watch each other's films because you can learn a lot just by watching the work of other filmmakers. But you know, the element that's missing when we talk about in-person versus virtual is the ability to hang out and start to build a relationship. That's really hard to do because none of us like to sit in front of this screen for 6-7 hours. But you will go to a screening, then hang out with the same people, go grab lunch, go to the after party. By the time a weekend's done in Cleveland, you probably spent 24 to 48 hours with the same 5, 6, 7 filmmakers that were there during the same window, and you have relationship. It's, you know, a little about each other from outside. We don't have time, you know, I'd love to get to know you all, but we're not gonna have time to sit here and share stories about our families and this and that. To start really building a relationship, that's what you can do when you attend a festival. What these sessions are super valuable for is the educational element. You can learn a lot about filmmaking because a lot of experts can take the time to hop on for an hour and do a panel and then get back to work or doing whatever they need to do, but they're not going to go to Cleveland or festivals all over the world to do the same thing. So from educationally, virtual is a great tool.
To conclude this panel, I want to mention the topic of distribution. Obviously, we're set in Paris. A lot of our filmmakers hope to shoot their net projects in France with a tax rebate, or obviously French audiences in the new world where streaming platforms admittedly have an important place. It's really important to consider French territories. Can you walk us quickly through the distribution opportunities and how much you believe you can bring in person to the filmmakers who are trying to distribute their films, maybe starting with Nici?
For the festival, we do work with 2 or 3 different streamers. Distribution is a hard one, I find, and it's really, you need to figure out who exactly, again, what is your project, and find the actual distributor for that project. Like, we don't in the festival bring that many distributors to our festival, and but that is something that we're definitely looking for in the future, because to bring the sales agent distributor to the filmmaker is also very important. But yeah, I think you just need to really figure out what your project is and who can sell it for you, and do that very early on in your film life, basically. But yeah, that's still something that we're working more towards in the future.
And Skye, I believe you provide a lot of great distribution opportunities for your filmmakers.
Yeah, we try our best. We also work with a couple of streaming platforms. Entertainment Oxygen we worked with last year, and they had a great, they're really about filmmakers keeping their revenue and keeping the ownership of their projects. So we're excited about that. Theatrical distribution is quite a challenge. And so for features, sometimes we're able to help facilitate that with a distribution company. Sometimes we've helped curate some blocks of films when it's been shorts and trying to get them kind of seen in different spots. In LA, it's kind of unique. There is a few art house theaters and the Lemleys are amazing. And you need to get some funding and you need some belief from that end, but there's ways to get some runs, and that will make you qualifying for certain awards. So we try to walk our filmmakers through that if it's sort of in their scope of what they're looking to do, for sure. And being in LA, that does kind of help us out a lot in many ways, obviously, with getting some access to distribution.
Our filmmakers often ask about the shorts. It should be a business card, should be distributed. Paul, what are the options for them?
Distribution for shorts is a really tough nut to crack. You're going to be lucky to get your money back, but you can potentially, depending on what your film's about. I think you have far better opportunities if it is about something that probably fits Skye's festival, where it's really addressing a subject that matters to a certain group, because then they have a reason, even like if they want to put it on their website to, help you recoup some of your funds, and they have backers and supporters who believe in that. That's, your best opportunity. If you've made a narrative short, I think the limitations, it makes it tough to sell it for distribution. but there are lots of opportunities to get it seen once you've done your festival circuit. You know, there's some great sources like Amaletto now who really does good curation. That as a curator, that's what's important to me. I think that's what's been missing for shorts online, is that it's, you know, most of the sites are like so big and have so much content that how would someone know what to watch unless they're crazed about shorts? There's just too many. How would they pick? Someone would have to have sent them a link, and that's the reason they're there. Amaletto at least does it in a way where, like, okay, here's the 10 films this month that are after hours horror films. You know, you can go, if you want to watch some sci-fi shorts, they have a small collection that they're curating in different comedies. So that really helps a viewer, if they want to find shorts, to find a small collection of films that are in that vein. Distribution wise, I still come from the opinion that use it as a business card, keep making films. Don't spend a lot of time trying to make money on a short, because there's just not a lot of opportunities to do that. And you'll probably be better spending your time working on that feature that will have those opportunities. As for Cleveland, we're an audience festival, so we don't have anything specifically for the distributors in that. But there are some that attend because of how many films we play and because of how many people want to launch with us because of the size of audience and the reputation of the festival. So we do have some that come on their own and are there handing out cards and looking at films. But, you know, unlike a festival that's focused on that, where there will be set up events for that, we don't have that. It'll just happen organically. So when you come to Cleveland, you come to meet other filmmakers and have pretty significant size audiences, just people who love films watching your films.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom all. We're going to put, for those who are listening or watching, in the caption the links to your festivals to learn more, keep sharing, and keep making films. Obviously, here at the Paris International Film Festival, we can only wish for your films to travel and just keeping sharing beautiful moments. Merci beaucoup to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to meet everyone.
Yes.